Well, the season's over. We lost last night. So let's recap it and see how we did. What is up, Finn fans? Unfortunately, we couldn't break the now 24-year skid of not winning a flippin' playoff game. 24 years. That sucks. It sucks so bad. But we're going to recap. I feel like this week is going to be a combination of kind of predicting and picking next week's playoff games, as well as kind of recapping the season. This one, I'm just kind of doing the Dolphins 2023, and if I think that the season was a failure or not. And then I'm going to, I think tomorrow, I don't know if I'm going to do a film breakdown. Because what's the point kind of situation? Because we all know what happened. But we're going to break down TUA's 2023 season, Mike McDaniel's 2023 season, and then go on from there. I might live stream a playoff game. Let me know. Do you want me to live stream a playoff game? But I am going to live stream the Super Bowl. I am definitely going to do that. So, before we jump into this video, first off, I want to thank you guys. 2023 season was awesome. Had a lot of ups. We won 11-6. A lot of ups. And about 6 downs. But it was a lot of fun. Huge growth from the channel. We're almost at 46,000 subscribers. I love you all. Thank you all for the support. Thank you all for watching, for commenting, for interacting with all that stuff. Thank you so very much. Oh, and you're going to get a Dolphin fan reaction video that I do, which is like in the style of Tom Grassi. I do that every year as well. But anyway, again, thank you to the mods for helping me with the live stream, to the Patreons, to the members, to the everybody. Love you all. Thank you all for an awesome 2023. But my job's never done. I never take a break. Like I said, this week we're recapping the season, and then we go into the who should we cut, who should re-sign situation. We're going to talk about Tua Tagovailoa. Does he deserve a contract? We're going to talk about how we're going to deal with the cap space, free agents we're going to target. Like it never ends. I just go right on through, like right through. So I got a lot to do. So don't feel like, oh, I'll see you in April. Nope. Stick around. Got a lot to talk about. But before we jump into all that good stuff, I've been rambling like a crazy person. I have to shout out today's sponsor, and that is BetUS. They have been a sponsor with me throughout the football season. A great site. I use them constantly. Again, it's a site. They do not have an app. So if you see a BetUS app, that ain't them. But you can click the link in the description. You get 125% of your first deposit, up to $2,500. Why am I explaining it when we could just listen to BetUS themselves?
BetUS, America's favorite sports book, where you can bet on everything anytime. Sportsbook, casino, horse racing, live betting, and more. We have the best bonuses in the industry. That's right, get a 125% sign-up bonus. And to celebrate our 30-year anniversary, we are giving up to 30 risk-free bets, a truck, Super Bowl tickets, and more. Don't miss out. Play smart. Join now. BetUS, where the game begins.
Also, real quick, 24-hour payouts. And they're giving away Super Bowl tickets. Check all that out. Click the link in the description and bet responsibly. First and foremost, bet responsibly. So we're going to recap this season. We're going to go over some stats. I'm not going to go too far into Tua Tagovailoa because, again, he's getting his own video. I'm not going to go too far into Mike McDaniel because he's getting his own video. Right now, I'm kind of just covering the entire team. We're going to look at stats, leaders, this, that, and all that fun stuff. So the Miami Dolphins ended the season with the number 2 offense. They were second in points, first in yards, first in passing yards, and 6th in rushing. They ended the season not great on defense, 22nd in the NFL in points, 10th in yards. They were 15th in passing, 7th in rushing. So kind of middle of the pack there. When it came to conversions, they were 7th on offense and third down conversions. They were 2nd in the NFL in red zone, 65.5%. On defense, not great. 20th in third down conversions, allowing 38.9%. And in the red zone, they were 28th, allowing 64.8%. When it came to all this other fantastic stuff, stat-wise, we will look at our leading rusher, obviously, is Raheem Mostert with 1,012. Behind him was Devon Achane with 800. Also, Mostert had 18 touchdowns, which was number 1 in the NFL. Devon Achane had 8. When it came to receiving yards, obviously, Tyreek Hill, number 1 in the NFL, 1,799 with 13 touchdowns, tied for number 1 in the NFL. Jalen Waddle, 1,014, 4 touchdowns. And then the third is Durham Smythe. Need a little bit better distribution because you had Tyreek Hill with 171 targets, and then you had Jalen Waddle with 104. And I talked to you guys about the fact that, like, with the Cowboys, CeeDee Lamb had like 181, and then the next is their tight end Ferguson had 101. So when you have your number 1 target, you're going to target them, but I feel like the ball should have been spread out a little bit more on that side of the picture. When it came to kicking, obviously we're going to talk about kicking. Jason Sanders was 85.7% on field goals made. He was 50 plus. He missed 2. He was 5 for 7. 40 to 49, he missed 2. He was 6 for 8. Outside of that, from 20 to 39 yards, he was golden. Made every single one of them. He missed 1 extra point. He didn't have that bad of a year. He actually really helped in the Cowboys game as well. Punting, on the other hand, Jake Bailey, I don't know why he was still on the team. He was bad. To me, honestly, I think he was bad. When you look at defense, sack-wise, Bradley Chubb with 11, Zach Seiler with 10. Sucks that Chubb went out. You had Christian Wilkins with 9, Jalen Phillips 6.5. I really think he would have. He played 8 games, started 6. I think he would have had 12 sacks if he stayed in. I think him and Bradley Chubb would have dominated if they both stayed healthy. Andrew Van Ginkel with 6, Emmanuel Ogbah with 5.5. Melvin Ingram even got a sack and a half in there. Our tackling leader was David Long Jr. with 113 sacks. Tackles for loss, Bradley Chubb, Sealer, and Wilkins are your tops. Quarterback hits, Christian Wilkins had the most quarterback hit. Behind him was Bradley Chubb and Sealer combined there. Interception leader was Jalen Ramsey with 3, Jerome Baker with 2, Brandon Jones with 2, and Sealer had 1, Vinkel had 1, Phillips had 1, Emmanuel Ogbah had 1. Oh, that's crazy. But like, we only had our leader had 3 interceptions. That's horrible. It needs to be better than that. And yeah, that's kind of the stat wise. Now, when you look at the team as a whole, this season had the most sacks in Miami Dolphins history with 56. Behind them is 2005 and 1983 with 49 sacks, which was pretty awesome. Most total yards per game in a season in team history, the Dolphins are 2nd with 401.3 total yards per game, right behind the 1984 Dolphins. So they were so close to overtaking that. Most rushing touchdowns in a season in Dolphins history, the Miami Dolphins of 2023, 27, just beat out the 75 and 72 Dolphins with 26. Fewest quarterback hits allowed was this year in 2023. That's the NFL. 59 quarterback hits. And that's because we were very quick at getting the ball out, like very quick. Most receiving yards, Tyreek is number 1. Most receiving yards in NFL history, Tyreek is number 7. Most touchdown receptions in team history, Tyreek is number 3. You had Mark Clayton as the 1 and 2. Most receptions in a season in team history, Tyreek Hill, 119 is for the last 2 years with us. We love to target him. Most passing yards in the NFL this year, Tua Tagovailoa. Most passing yards in a season in Dolphin history, Tua is number 3. He's behind Dan Marino, 1984 and 1986. Best completion percentage in a season in Dolphin history is Tua with 69.3. And then number 2 is Fitzpatrick with 68.5. And number 3 is Tua with 67.8. So he is the best. Minimum 75 completions, completion percentage in the Dolphins' history. Best rush average, 7.8 was Devon Achane. Behind him is Mercury Morris with a 6.4. Most rushing yards by rookie in team history, Devon Achane is number 3 with 800. Then Ronnie Brown, 907. And Kamir Abdul-Jabbar, 1996. He had 1,116. Number 1. Most touchdowns by a rookie, Devon Achane had 11 altogether. Ron Davenport, 1985, is the number 1 guy. So a little fun fact, stat history for you guys. So let's talk about this team. Because at the end of this video, I'm going to tell you if this season was a failure or not. So kind of just recapping, sorry, my shoulder's itchy. Recapping the season, the Dolphins started out hot, going 3-0, beating the Chargers, beating the Patriots, demolishing the Broncos 70-20. Then we got whooped by the Bills, and then we went on another tear, and we beat the Giants and the Panthers, going to 5-1. Everything's fantastic, and then losing to the Eagles 5-2, and we beat Washington. Everything's fantastic. Patriots again, swept them 31-17. Fantastic. Loss to the Kansas City Chiefs 21-14. Going into the bye, we were 6-3. Last year we were 7-3 because our bye week was week 11. Going into the bye, we felt comfortable, but of course those 3 wins against 2 teams, we three losses against 3 teams, everyone started calling us frauds. You cannot beat good teams. You have only beaten bad teams, yada, yada. Then we go into the second half of the season, and we go on a 3-game winning streak. We beat the Raiders, the Jets, and the Commanders. The Raiders game was sloppy. We only won by a touchdown, only scoring 20 points, which we were like, I don't know but I was like, what is going on? And then we did our business against the Jets in the Jets land, and then we did our business against the Commanders 45-15 in Washington. So everything was great. We were sitting there at 9-3. And of course, when we were sitting at 8-3, we kept hearing we're a different team. We are not last year's 8-3. We're not going to go on a 5-game losing streak. And they didn't. They beat Washington, but then the Tennessee Titan game. That Tennessee Titan game hurt. Not only did it hurt the team, but it hurt our playoff chances. It hurt clinching the division. If we would have just beaten the Titans, we would have clinched the division before the last 2 weeks, and if anything, rested our starters against Buffalo in week 18. But with 3 minutes left in the game, the Miami Dolphins could not close out the game. 3 minutes, up 15. They gave you the ball twice, and you scored twice. Up 15. Now, is that on the defense? Yes. Is it all on the defense? No, because our offense had an opportunity to put the game away. We needed like 2 first downs, and we would have won. But our defense struggled, and our offense struggled. And then they came back, and they won, and they got the 2-point conversion, losing 28-27. Then we went on a nice little 2-win streak, beating the Jets 30-0. Fantastic. Loved it. And then beating the Dallas Cowboys on Christmas Eve to clinch a playoff spot. Now, again, if they would have taken care of business and beaten Tennessee, that win against the Cowboys, last-second field goal, would have clinched us the AFC East. And then the Baltimore Ravens loss, which hurt really bad, 56-19, and the Buffalo Bills loss wouldn't have been as bad, and this game wouldn't have been played in Kansas City. It would have been played home. And again, we would have rested our starters against Buffalo, so we would be even more fresh to face them in the playoffs at home in 86-degree weather with humidity. Because that's what it was like yesterday for the Miami Dolphins. Well, for Miami, it was hot and humid. And I think it would have been a different outcome to that game. Now, there's a lot of aspects to this season that I want to talk about with Mike McDaniel, but that's kind of, like I said, a video in itself, talking about his play calling, talk about his challenges, his time of possession, the kind of the sloppiness of the team, because there was a lot of penalties. Let me actually look up where the Dolphins are sitting at when it comes to penalties, because they might be up there, if I'm being honest with you. They are, no, they're actually not that far up there. Middle of the pack, 97 penalties. The number one the number one penalized team, Doug, come on, is the New York Jets, 124. Then it's the Dallas Cowboys, the Browns, the Texans, the Seahawks. The Dolphins are kind of middle of the pack. They have 97 penalties. It's not too bad. Let me see false starts. How many false starts do we have? No, not that much. Unless I'm missing it. Where is the Dolphins? Because the number one is the Jets with 31 false starts. The Miami Dolphins, we only had 17 false starts. We're not that high up there. So we weren't that bad of a penalized team. So again, you look at Mike McDaniel's process on that, and again, that's a video in itself. It wasn't that bad. But then you look, to me, and again, it's not an excuse because we saw teams dealing with this and continuing to win. But to me, I think the thing that really started to hurt us and really started to have us falter towards the end of the season, especially on defense, was the injuries. At one point in the season, we were, and now I'm not saying altogether, but at one point in the season, we were without Phillips, Holland, Chubb, Connor Williams, Isaiah Wynn, Raheem Mostert, Robert Hunt, Xavier Howard, Jerome Baker, Devon Achane, Teron Armstead, Jalen Ramsey, Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill. Like, we had so many injuries. And then going to IR was Phillips, Chubb, Williams, Wynn. Ramsey started on IR. Like, it was just... Baker's now on IR. Andrew Van Ginkel's now on IR. Like, it just killed. The injuries just kept piling up. If it wasn't for that Jet game, week 12, and us losing Jalen Phillips, I think things would have been a little bit different. Like, I think the Titan game might have ended a little different because we would have had a better pass rush going. I don't think the Ravens game would have ended differently, but I think the Bills game would have been different if we had both our pass rushers in there, and then we lose Andrew Van Ginkel and Cameron Good on that game. But I think injuries did take a big toll. And on offensive line, like Tua, his time to throw, and I'm not talking about his release. I'm talking the amount of time he had to throw before the pressure got to him. It's like dead last in the NFL. The offensive line rotation, Teron Armstead got injured at one point. Then Jackson got injured at one point. We lost Wynn, like I said. Connor Williams got injured at one point. Robert Hunt. It was just this rotation of offensive linemen. And we still ended up winning 11 games. Even with being so injured, so decimated by injuries. But the biggest thing, and the thing that a lot of people are going to take out of this season, because it already started, they're calling us frauds, is we couldn't beat the good teams. We had a great record at home. Before we lost to Buffalo, before we lost to Tennessee, we were undefeated at home, and then we lost to Buffalo. So we lost 2 games at home, but on the road we weren't as good as we were at home because we couldn't get the snap count the way we wanted to because we didn't have control over the sound of the stadium. That's why, go over to Germany, I thought it would have been different because, hey, we'll have Dolphin fans saying, oh, it was loud for Kansas City. But the biggest takeaway from this season is the fraud label and the last 3 games of the season. Now, the fraud label, it's the NFL. Like, oh, you did 70-20, yeah, but it was to the Broncos. Or, you beat so-and-so and so-and-so. Like, the Giants beat the Eagles. The Giants controlled the Eagles. Like, I can name so many of these the Raiders beat the Chiefs. Like, I can name so many of these bad teams that we've beaten and that disqualifies us from being a good team and being 11-6 that went out and beat other teams. Like, we get vilified. You know what I'm trying to say, for beating the teams we're supposed to. But then when, God forbid, we don't beat the teams we're supposed to, the Tennessee Titans, everyone comes out and makes fun of us. It's like such a double-edged sword. It's so hilarious to me. But to me, and again, I'll talk about Tua a little bit, but there was stipulations I had at the beginning of this season. And we needed to win a playoff game this year. This is the second year in a row we had a winning record, and second year in a row we made the playoffs. Now, we were 9-3. The Bills were 6-6. We had a 3-game lead on the division. I think in the bye week or after the Raiders game, from the Raiders game until week 18, we were the number one team in the AFC East for half of the season. And you just needed to beat the Titans. You just needed to take care of business against Buffalo. Like, beat the Chiefs. You could have, and you would have won the division. The last 3 games of the season, you blew it. And like I said, when the season started, I had a stipulation with the team and with Tua that you have to win a playoff game. And it's always nice to hang your hat on these accolades of stats, and where this is the first head coach we've had with back-to-back winning seasons and forever and blah 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 blah. It's all fine and dandy, but what does it equate to? What happens at the end of the season? Now, I'm not saying fire Mike McDaniel, because 1, they're not gonna, and 2, they shouldn't. But 11-6, what do we go? 9-8. 2 winning seasons, back-to-back playoff appearances, 1 and out. You know what I'm saying? Like, 1 and done in the playoffs. This season was a failure. You shouldn't have the number one offense that drops 70 on a team, drops 42 on a team, drops 36 on a team, drops 45, 34, 30, 31, like another 31, like just the number one scoring offense, the number one offense in yards, all of these numbers. And then you play the way you did towards the end of the stretch. You beat the Cowboys 22-20 because your field goal kicker kicked 5 field goals. You lost to the Ravens. You can only put up 19 points. You lost to the Bills. You only could put up 14 points. You lost to the Chiefs. You can only put up 14 points. You lost to the Eagles. You can only put up 17 points. Yet you're the number one scoring offense. You're the number one offense in yards. And you couldn't do it when it matters. So to me, this season is a failure. You lost. And I don't want to hear about the cold. I don't want to hear Kansas City. The reason that the offense struggled in Kansas City was because of the cold. And the reason the defense, in my opinion, didn't struggle. We forced them to field goal to field goal to field goal to field goal. We were in that game until that last touchdown in the fourth quarter, and then it was over. The offense couldn't do a thing. And the injuries were on the defense. They weren't on the offense. We had 2 guys out on the offensive line. Everyone else was healthy. No excuses. Even the Bills and Ravens game, we didn't have Raheem Mostert and Jalen Waddle. Braxton Berrios, Cedric Wilson, and Craig Kraft did fantastic the first half of the season. And all of a sudden they disappeared. That's a problem. And you squandered a 3-game lead on the division and then 1 and done in the playoffs. That's a failure, in my opinion. I don't care that we won 11. I don't care about the offensive stats. I don't care. I don't care about having the passing leader on our team. I don't care about having the touchdown leader and rushing yards on our team. I don't care, because at the end of the day, it's not about, ooh, look at these nice shiny stats. These stats are nice and awards are nice and we have Pro Bowlers and these are all nice. At the end of the day, what's nice is hoisting the Lombardi. And this ain't going to do it. So it's a failure, because now we have to go back to the drawing table, negative $42 million in cap space, and try to fix this. And try to fix the long laundry list of free agents we have to deal with. The offensive line, besides Teron Armstead and Austin Jackson, are free agents. Robert Hunt is a free agent. Connor Williams is a free agent. Isaiah Wynn's a free agent. Christian Wilkins, free agent. We got to deal with all this crap. So to me, the season was a failure. They needed to do better. They needed to win their playoff game. They needed to beat the Titans. If you're beating bad teams, you should have beaten the Titans. And you could have clinched the East, and you could have rushed your team against Buffalo and been home for Buffalo with a fully rested team while they had to play for their playoff life. But you did it. So to me, it's a failure. I want to know your opinion. What's your thoughts on the season? What's your thoughts on how the offense did, on the defense did, all that stuff? reserve how you feel about Tua for that video, and reserve how you feel about the head coach for that video, because they're gonna get their own video. But let me know how you feel about the team as a whole. I think the defense did fine. Once Jalen Ramsey came in, I think the defense took off. They obviously struggled for the first half of the season. 48 points to the Bills, 34 points to the Chargers. But outside of that, they actually did pretty well. So I'm fine with the defense. I don't think the defense has problems. I think Vic Fangio is going to start adding his players this offseason, and you're going to see the defense form more into how he wants it to be run. So you're going to see a lot of guys be gone that don't fit his scheme, because he took this defense on with the players that don't fit his scheme. So I think the defense is going to get better next year. But comment below. Let me know what you guys think. I will see you guys tomorrow. I don't think I'm doing my brain. I don't think I'm doing a film breakdown, but I will have a lot of videos for you guys. But like usual, stay classy. If in top.